The government's been criticised over a failure to consult community groups over a plan to repatriate ISIS brides from Syria. Joining us live now is the independent MP Dai, whose electorate of Fowler lies in Western Sydney, where the families were seen in public this week. Dai, good morning to you. Thank you for your time. Are you any clearer on details that you requested from the Home Affairs Department?
Good morning, Peter. No, I am no clearer. I'm still haven't heard anything. Obviously, I wrote to her in around October the 7th to find out information. At that time, we heard rumours in the press about the potential resettlement of ISIS families in our community. As you've just mentioned there, majority of a proportion of our communities are from who fled the ISIS regime, the ISIS state, from Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon. So I've been approached by quite a lot of members in the church and people who said they're very fearful and they're too scared to speak out because a lot of their families are still back there and are obviously in regions that are controlled by ISIS.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. So since then, what are your constituents telling you, and is it a high percentage of them who are expressing these fears?
Oh, look, absolutely. I've got a large group of people that are from different, the Chaldeans, the Assyrians, the Mandaeans. They're various. There's a large proportion of those community in the Fowler electorate. I think approximately about 10 to 14% of our population are from that background. And they, in the last couple of days, as we hear more about these, a lot of them have reached out to me and have really raised concerns because, as I said, they have been waiting for the government for their resettlement of these families here, but they haven't heard anything. But,
Meanwhile, it's become quite a political issue in the state of Victoria at the moment, Dai, because the government there are very quiet on responses as to if these ISIS brides will be coming down to Victoria and not so until after the election. Is this, in your view, a political decision?
Oh, look, absolutely. I think that, and that's what I heard, that they're not going to be settling there until after the state election. So I think it's just, look, the lack of consultation, where we are now is because of the lack of consultation, and all the government had to do was to reach out and to talk to the community leaders, obviously in our community, and to express, to share with us what's going on so that we can actually engage with our community. I think an open dialogue would have been very, very fruitful and alleviate a lot of the fears. Look, I cannot emphasize enough how fearful many members of my community are about the situation.
It's well noted, Dai, that you escaped war as a refugee, as a much younger person, but how do you reconcile your own story with these women and children who've also fled war?
Look, can I say that these Australians, my understanding is that these are Australian citizens who have chosen to leave Australia at the time and joined their husbands in fighting with ISIS. Yeah. There are a lot of refugees that are in Syria in camps that are waiting, as I said, the families who have fought against ISIS that are still there, and those refugees should be resettled. And of course, we should resettle refugees who fought against the ISIS state. So I'm not saying, and I think the government should look at how they can resettle those refugees that are still waiting in the camps over there. Absolutely, we need to do something to bring them over here. And the church and the families here have told me that in the last few days.
Right, okay, just calling for more transparency. Just one more question and a complete change of pace as well, Dai. The energy price situation that's taking place, getting out of control for so many people. What do you believe is the answer to enable cheaper gas for consumers and businesses here?
Look, I have said from the beginning that we have to have a transition space, in particular at this time where our cost of living has increased tremendously, and with the prediction of energy prices going up, electricity prices going up, gas prices going up. I think the government have to step in to ensure and to engage with those companies, gas companies, to make sure that there is a certain amount of gas that is available here for our residents, in our people here in the East Coast, because I believe this an instrument has been applied, in Western Australia, whereby the local gas is there available for the community. So I think something has to be done. And the transition has to be taken into consideration, because we can't force it because the prices, as you said.
Would you support price caps?
Oh, absolutely. I think we need to have some kind of instrument in place to ensure that our residents, especially in Western Sydney, in the seat of Fowler, that are struggling with the price increase, the petrol price increase as well, there has to be some instrument to ensure that we can manage, alleviate the cost of living crisis out here.